I guess it's just dropping all kinds of travel wisdom. Let's just get started, okay? That's me, trying to figure out how to fit my entire life into 2 suitcases so that I can move a quarter of the way around the world to Sweden in the middle of a pandemic in order to start on this marvelous adventure, otherwise known as grad school. I had no idea. Hello, my weird and wonderful human beings, and welcome back. If you are new here, my name is Eve Daniels, and I am a grad student studying biomedical science at the University of Linköping here in Sweden. And yes, it's been almost a year since I spent months trying to figure out how to move around the world in order to start grad school. When I moved a year ago, the world was still very much in turmoil. We had no idea what was happening, and quite frankly, I wasn't even sure if I'd be going to in-person classes when I moved. Turns out I wasn't. I am not exaggerating when I said that I spent weeks and months packing, unpacking, and repacking my belongings so that I could make absolutely sure I had what I needed and that I hadn't forgotten anything important. Oh, how I wish I could have known then what I know now. Needless to say, I had no idea what I was doing, and I packed a whole bunch of stuff that I didn't need and left out a bunch of stuff that I really wish I'd had. So to help any others who are also looking to make the transition to Sweden and trying to figure out what they absolutely have to bring with them, I thought I'd give you the helping hand I wish I'd had. If you're looking for a super practical guide, there is also a video at Studying in Sweden, which I will link somewhere up in the ether that you can go and check out. They have a really good list to get you down for the basics, but I'm going to take you through some of the things I wish I'd known about. Let's get packing. First up on our list is plugs. All of the plugs. Any of the plugs. If you have a thing and it requires electricity, it needs a plug. In my case, this was especially difficult as Swedish plugs look different than American plugs. Swedish outlets deliver 220 watts, which not all of my American gadgets could handle, so I had to go out and get special adapters, which, as it turns out, would have been a heck of a lot cheaper to get while I was still in the States instead of in Sweden. A lot of things in Sweden can be kind of pricey, and electronics are no exception. So if you have a thing and it requires electricity in some way, shape, or form, make sure that you not only have the plug, but that you have an adapter that will work with a wall socket, and that your device can handle 220. If it can't, you're gonna need an adapter for that too. 1 decent pair of walking shoes. Now, these are kind of overkill. Slapped myself with a shoelace there. Some of us will relate more to this problem than others, but a lot of my friends struggled with figuring out what shoes to bring, and inevitably ended up bringing like a half dozen pairs and then only wearing 2. Realistically, what you need is a comfortable pair of closed-toed shoes like sneakers, and something a little more high-test and water-resistant for when it is snowy or slushy. Everything other than that, you don't actually need, and if it's a luxury item that you definitely want, you'll be able to find it here. Number 3, a comfortable backpack with an appropriate amount of pockets for the number of things that you want pockets for. This is another one of those things that doesn't come cheap here in Sweden, so if you have one that you really like, I strongly recommend using it as your carry-on so that you have something here with you. I will say that you can find actually really decent bags at secondhand shops a lot of the time, so if you're worried about not having a purse, I would stop worrying about it, because you can get plenty of them here. This one was 10 kroner, and I use it a lot as a beach bag. I also have a couple of others that I haven't ever used, but they were like 15 or 20 kroner, so I bought them anyways. Number something, I've lost track. Brand-specific cosmetics, skincare, and medications. These types of things are readily available in Sweden. Sometimes you have to buy them online because not every store will have everything, but you can find can find all kinds of stuff here in Sweden and loads of really great brands. Again, it's not cheap. But the problem is if you have certain requirements or if you are brand specific. Now, I can find loads of skincare stuff here in Sweden, but what I can't find is Dexeril or this. Both of these I need for my psoriasis, so going without them is an excellent way for my skin to just dissolve. You can actually check online if you go to apotea.se or other websites that I'll link down below to see if the kind of skincare or cosmetics that you like are available here in Sweden, and then you can just buy them when you get here. But if you're dependent on brand specific cosmetics or skincare and that really is a priority for you, make sure that you bring some of your brand with you. Trying to deal with the stress of finding new skincare and cosmetic stuff on top of culture shock is not something you want to have to do unless it's absolutely necessary. So if this is a part of your routine that you can't live without or that really just helps your peace of mind, make sure you bring it with you. That also goes for medications, supplements, and anything that you take for your physical or mental health. One thing to keep in mind when you're packing your wardrobe is that the reality of Swedish weather means that the vast majority of the time, you're going to be wearing sweaters. So as long as you have a couple of comfortable sweaters in different styles or colors, that's really all you need to worry about, because whatever else you're wearing is going to be under your sweater. One of the things that I was worried about when I was coming over here was FOMO, specifically clothing related FOMO. Like, oh, what if I want to wear this really cute dress that I've had in my closet but haven't worn for 2 years? But what if I want it? I haven't wanted it. And if I did, I can find a cute summer dress at a secondhand shop here in Sweden or at H&M. Although I don't advise buying things from H&M, the quality is pretty shoddy. They use a lot of sweatshops, and fast fashion is a very terrible thing for the environment and generally not ecologically or economically sustainable. But that's a separate issue. Speaking of wardrobe, it is absolutely essential that you not forget to pack your official Starfleet uniform and or alternative cosplay paraphernalia. If you question these choices or don't understand why you might need them, we run in different social circles. Back onto more realistic clothing, another thing that you absolutely need to make sure that you have is at least one comfortable, water-resistant, at least, coat. This is something that I had a hard time with coming from Florida because none of my hoodies are prepared to deal with temperatures below 60 degrees. A lot of the time when we're moving, our luggage space is really tight, so packing multiple coats isn't an option for most of us. My recommendation is to pick one universal coat that's going to work in a variety of temperatures and conditions, and then wear it on the plane so that you're not taking up space in your luggage. As far as specifications, I recommend something that is at least water resistant, if not waterproof, with zippered pockets so that if you're running around trying to chase a bus, you don't have to worry about your stuff falling out. It should also have a hood. It should be pretty long so that it falls below your waistline. A cold weather jacket that rides up and exposes your lower back is not a cold weather jacket. If my butt's still cold, I'm cold. Get a jacket that covers your booty. Ideally, you want to be able to wear this coat anywhere between 10 degrees Celsius and negative 10 degrees Celsius comfortably. You can always buy another jacket when you get here if you feel like you want something more heavy duty. There's plenty of jackets in secondhand shops, and most of them are very reasonably priced because we go through a lot of jackets in this country. But definitely make sure that you bring at least one sort of universal jacket that you'd be comfortable wearing most of the year with you, so that you don't have to panic shop and look for something when the weather suddenly turns cold overnight and you weren't expecting it. On the list of things that are weirdly expensive in Sweden is office supply. Like, I'm not kidding. Post-it notes, index cards, Sharpies. These are weirdly expensive here. I can't figure out if it's I'm shopping at the wrong stores or maybe I need to buy in bulk, but whatever the answer is, I haven't figured it out. Generic black pens and notebooks you're going to be able to find at most grocery stores and, pretty much everywhere. But things like index cards and post-it notes, if you rely on these for study aids like I do, make sure you bring at least a little bit with you. Something else that you're going to want to have with you. Now, this might come as a shocking surprise, but if your laptop is on its last legs and you're about to start grad school, you should buy a new laptop. The same thing goes for phones, cameras, and any other tech that is sort of stuff that is part of your daily life. Or I just recently converted to the whole wireless Bluetooth headset thing because when I'm working in the lab, I can't have a cord dangling around my samples. And while I'm really glad I did, I wish I'd done it while I was still somewhere where electronics were cheaper. So if you're thinking of upgrading your essential tech, not luxury items, your essential tech, that is your laptop, your headsets, your phone, and if you're doing grad school, an external hard drive, I'd recommend at least a couple terabytes. Make sure you do that before you get here. On a more personal note, you're also going to want to bring something that grounds you. Something that reminds you why you're here, or brings you comfort, or reminds you of home. I know this sounds silly, and honestly some people will probably overpack on sentimental items, but in the middle of winter, or when you're having a really bad day, or just when things get hard, it's nice to have something with you that reminds you why you came all this way, what you're doing here, and that it's worth it. Okay, last thing, I swear. The most important thing that you need to bring with you when you're coming to Sweden, whether it's to visit, to stay, to live, to study, for any extended period of time, is an open mind. Culture shock is a real thing. Winter depression is a real thing. Grad school is hard. When we all started my program, we had an introductory lecture that sort of helped us to get settled with the new Swedish school system because there were so many students from abroad in my particular program. At the time, we were shown a graph of how culture shock works and sort of laughed and snickered and went, I know what to expect. No, you don't. There are going to be times when it is lonely. There are going to be times when you feel like you don't fit, and there are going to be times when you question why you came. But if you can remember to keep an open mind, to keep exploring, to keep talking to strangers and trying to meet new people and try new things, when you can remember to try and explore this weird and wonderful place that is Sweden, and keep an open mind about that, it makes it easier when you're missing the things that are more familiar. Moving to a new country is a hard thing. If you keep an open mind and you try and form connections in your immediate community and explore the world around you so that it becomes a familiar place to you, it'll make it easier when you're longing for the things that you once called familiar. That's it. That is everything that I wish I'd known when I'd come here to Sweden, everything that I wish I'd packed, everything that I probably packed but didn't need. And while everyone's going to vary, I feel like this is going to help you sort of prioritize those things that you definitely need to bring with you and get you focused on what's important. For those coming to join me in Sweden, I hope to see you soon. And for those who are already here,